Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the modern hiring landscape using a really fascinating piece of source material from Expert on Hire called the certification myth. We are going to unpack something that pretty much every hiring manager, recruiter, and engineer has wrestled with at some point: the traditional paper resume. Look at almost any tech resume lately, and you know exactly what you'll see. They're just absolutely flooded with cloud, AI, and cybersecurity credentials. It's like this endless alphabet soup of acronyms. And honestly, for a lot of hiring managers, seeing all those badges creates this immediate sense of comfort. You glance at it and think, wow, they've got the badges, they must really know their stuff. But is that confidence actually justified when it comes to the day-to-day reality of the work? Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Do certifications guarantee technical excellence? I want you to stop and really think about that for a second. We have built an entire industry norm around the idea that passing a test equals technical mastery. But Expert on Hire argues that the answer to this question is a resounding not always. Section 1. The certification myth: validating learning versus capability. This is really the heart of the argument from our source material today. Look, there is a massive difference between passing a standardized test in a quiet, controlled environment and actually building a scalable system in a messy, live production setting. The gap between theory and execution is just huge. Now, certifications absolutely prove you can prepare, you can dedicate yourself to studying, and you can pass an exam. And that is genuinely great. It shows you grasp the theoretical concepts. But notice what they don't prove. They don't prove you can design scalable software architecture or fix a massive production outage at 2 a.m. or lead an engineering team through a crisis without losing your cool. Certifications validate learning, sure, but they leave practical execution completely unchecked. So it boils down to this: great engineers build products, not just certificate collections. It's kind of ironic when you think about it. Some of the most exceptional engineers out there are simply too busy building incredible things to pause, study for, and collect certificates. On the flip side, you have candidates who are fantastic at continuously earning certifications, but when the pressure is actually on, they have almost no real-world experience applying those skills. All right, Section 2, the hidden costs, or when certification bias backfires. Putting paper credentials above actual proven capability, that is not just some minor HR hiccup. It is an incredibly expensive business error. Notice how these negative effects just cascade. Usually it starts with a bad hire who looked phenomenal on paper. Suddenly you're facing delayed product releases. That directly drives up project costs and tanks your engineering productivity. The software quality takes a hit. The rest of your engineering team gets incredibly frustrated carrying all that extra weight. And ultimately, you're looking at the massive financial burden of replacing them. It's just a vicious, expensive cycle. And while you're dealing with all those cascading costs, here is the real tragic irony. Highly capable engineers, the exact people who could parachute in and fix your problems, they're often getting completely filtered out by automated systems and recruiters just because they don't have a dozen logos at the top of their resume. Think about your own team for a second. Have you missed out on top-tier talent simply because of this built-in certification bias? Section 3, defining excellence and what we should be asking. If we're going to stop obsessing over badge collections, what do we actually focus on? Instead of counting credentials, we need to be asking, can they solve real business problems? This is a purely capability-focused question. It's not about whether they perfectly memorized a cloud provider's documentation. It's about whether they can take a messy, ambiguous business challenge and actively engineer a real solution for it. Next, can they build scalable and reliable systems? I mean, pretty much anyone can hack together a prototype that runs perfectly on their local machine, right? But what happens when 10,000 users log in at the exact same time? We need to know if they have the structural engineering chops and the adaptability to keep things running when it actually matters most. And to wrap up this sequence, can they deliver measurable business value? Because let's be honest, technical capability doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to connect directly to long-term business outcomes, rapid learning, and solid team collaboration. These are the types of questions that give you a crystal clear picture of a candidate's future performance. Section 4, a smarter hiring framework, the Expert on Hire capability first approach. So what does a better way actually look like in the wild? Well, a capability-first approach means evaluating demonstrated technical expertise and real-world problem-solving rather than relying solely on certificates. This is the modern solution from Expert on Hire, and it successfully blends the genuine value of certifications with rigorous, practical validation. The core philosophy here is simple. Every single hiring decision should be backed by concrete evidence, not just hopeful assumptions based on a piece of paper. This methodology pulls together a few key ingredients. We're looking at practical technical assessments, real-world problem solving, and undeniable engineering experience. And notice, they absolutely still value continuous learning, but they pair it with AI-assisted talent matching and verified technical expertise. That's how you identify professionals who are actually ready to contribute from day one. When you put it all together, it creates this really modern, structured pipeline. Step 1 is naturally certification, because hey, those are still valuable indicators. But then it immediately moves to step 2, technical validation, followed right up by a practical assessment. Then AI-assisted matching steps in to pair the exact right talent with the right company, resulting in a completely verified technical expert. This drastically reduces your hiring risk and speeds up those critical decisions. Which brings us to section 5, the payoff, hiring with confidence. Whether you're a startup on rocket fuel trying to scale your first product or a massive enterprise holding together decades of legacy systems, this evidence-backed framework pays off. Because at the end of the day, certifications open the door. We have to be fair and acknowledge that they show a fantastic commitment to learning and professional growth. But they should absolutely never be the final deciding factor in whether someone gets the job. They're the beginning of the conversation, not the end of it. As the source material from ExpertOnHire so perfectly puts it, capability builds a future. It's that proven ability to jump into the trenches, solve complex problems, build bulletproof systems, and create real impact that truly defines a great engineer. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final, provocative thought today. As you look at your own team and your organizational goals moving forward, is your next hire built on paper or built on capability? Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer. Keep asking those hard questions and keep looking beyond the resume.